All right, I have this phone just set up in a tripod made up of a palm frond stuck in the ground. So excuse me if there's a little wobble. Um, I wanted to reach out today and speak just a little bit about kind of a gap where people talk a lot about natural disasters, which right now a lot of up and down the eastern seaboard of America we're experiencing. We're in between a series of hurricanes. We're still in hurricane season. A lot of people are out there suffering. They're without power. They're without water. They're maybe without food. They have sustained injuries, and they're just not able to get the help that they need. Unfortunately, this video won't reach them until after the fact. So it won't be a big help for them. But what I do want to do is at least reach out to some of the people that might be able to see this and gain something from it. So if you've done everything right, you've heeded warnings, you've looked at your preparedness resources, you've got the water, you've got the food, the batteries, all those things that you should be collecting anyways in preparedness for natural disasters in your area, whatever it may be, flash floods or hurricanes or tornadoes or, whatever you may experience. But one of those things that you're left without is communications and signaling. So there's more than just four needs, but we typically just recognize and talk about those first four needs: food, water, shelter, and fire. And then we end up neglecting the other things like signaling, like first aid, like self-protection, and navigation and travel. So I want to touch today on some signaling and communication with what we would do if we don't have power, we're without cell signal, but we still need to be able to be within proximity to signal and communicate to somebody to get that help, to draw them into us and hail them. And this is some ways that we would do that without the benefit of electricity or cellular signal. So some of the ways that we can do that are obviously through auditory. So you have things like whistles or improvised whistles. I've spoken before about using Mylar or just any type of plastic and making a whistle just between your hands, right here between your thumbs. And this is something that you would need to practice, but you put that piece of plastic right there in between your thumbs and blow into between that crack in your thumbs right there. And what that's going to do is vibrate this piece of plastic, but it takes a significant amount of air passing through it. You do a series of 3, right, for auditory signaling. That's if you didn't have an outright air horn, something low tech or no tech, or an actual whistle. So I would advise people to just go ahead and keep in that kit or on that kit or somewhere within proximity to you a whistle. That could be something just simple. It doesn't have to be crazy, but that's going to save you a lot of effort or having to improvise these other methods. So again, auditory stuff, that's great signaling. Other types of signaling are going to obviously be more visual. So when we think about visual, we're talking about contrast, reflection, movement, things like that. So bright colors that are going to contrast in a darker environment, or darker colors that are going to contrast in a lighter environment. So vice versa. So you're doing opposites. So one of those is obviously a signal mirror, and we take and practice with something like that. Now you can use almost any reflective surface like I just had out a moment ago. This is just a wrapper, a candy bar wrapper. You could do something similar with this. Just know that it does take more practice, and you're going to have to really try in order to capitalize that. Now I am working in kind of a different environment where there's some shadowing going on. So if I can get this to kind of reflect, it's not going to do as good of a job as a mirror, right? So use what's ideal first, and then improvise if you have to. So plan to use good stuff, but have an out in case that good stuff breaks. So the dedicated kit, if that breaks. More visual stuff is obviously flashlights. When is a flashlight good? Well, it's good at night. It could be possibly good during the day. But as far as the mirror, that's going to be a daytime only type of signaling, visual signaling. Other things are like we talked about, contrasting colors. So you have bright colors that you can take and string up somewhere if you're going to be stationary, or maybe put on a string and whip around. Chem lights are another thing that's good after the sun has went down, or something that would illuminate that you can hail people with, to give them that visual indication that you're there, if you don't have a way to make an auditory. Now, what we want to do is we want to combine as many of these things as possible to give people a clue that we're there. We want to basically be obnoxious and not let it be mistaken or drowned out, as if, a bird is making a call or an engine is in the area, and we need to overcome that. Another thing that people don't really talk about with signaling when we talk about auditory signaling is the wind. So if you're downwind, you're trying to call somebody upwind, you might be fighting against yourself in doing that. So bear in mind, you might need to change directions and give yourself the best possible outcome by being intuitive about those environmental situations that are going on around you. We can also talk about things like fire. So if you have ways to start a fire, we talk about that in survival, having fire for multiple purposes, but we don't really touch on about when fire is going to be useful in signaling necessarily very much. We talk about it for a lot of other things, but when we talk about signaling, we don't really touch on when to do what, right? And so what I'm talking about is the flame is best to have at night. Now, during the day, it could still be used, obviously, but at night, that visual signal from the flames, big high flames, is going to be a little bit more obvious than at night. What is going to be good during the day is going to be that bellowing smoke. So we want to create a lot of white smoke or black smoke if you have synthetics, things that you can do to let a large area of people know, hey, I need help over here, or there's something going on here where there's smoke, there's fire, which probably means there's a human over there, maybe even in distress. If you can set up multiples, sets of 3, even better, good on you. But at least have a way to indicate through visual means, and that's also through olfactory means when we're talking about smoke. So hopefully this will give people some no-tech or low-tech means of communication, signaling, trying to hail people into us, letting people know that we're there, we're still alive, that we're going to bang pots and pans until you come and find us, like pipes in a ship when the ship's sinking type stuff. All of these indications. Hopefully that got your wheels spinning, and if you can think of other ways, go ahead and shoot a comment and let everybody else know, hey, this is a great way of communication that's low-tech or no-tech, outside of sat phones and GPS signals and beacons and cellular phones, which might be down, and not relying so much on technical or technology, but more on just what we can kind of set up, maybe even passive, but we can do without technology. So I hope you guys are going to be doing better soon. If you're in any of these situations and you still happen to have cell signal and this gets to you, if not, and you're just watching this in your free time, I hope that you never need any of this stuff, but if you do, hopefully this has helped you guys. So we'll come back with some more stuff as soon as possible. Thank you.